school family. I was just reading one of my favorite books. Do you remember the name of this book? The Very Hungry. You got it, caterpillar. I was just reading about that because I was wondering how a caterpillar grows. I knew some parts of the book, but I wanted to remind myself. How something grows can sometimes be called a life cycle. That means how you change over your life. So like a human life cycle, first we're little babies, right? And then we grow bigger and we're kids, and then we get bigger and maybe we're teenagers, we're adults, and we get older. That's our life cycle. Different animals have different kind of life cycles. And a butterfly or a caterpillar has a really special life cycle. So I want to look at it a little bit because I saw pictures in this book, but they were illustrated, and I want to see some real pictures. So I printed some out and I made a life cycle. Let's look at it. So we know that caterpillars start as something really special. Do you remember what they start as? You're right, they start as a tiny little egg. So that's zoomed in a little bit, but that's what the egg looks like. It's kind of like a sphere, like a ball, but it's really tiny. And mommy butterflies land on a leaf and lay their eggs, and then they fly away because they know that their babies can take care of themselves. Human babies need help to grow, but little baby caterpillars, they know what to do. They'll be okay. So then they hatch out of the egg, and that's called the larva stage, and they're little caterpillars, kind of like at the beginning of the Very Hungry Caterpillar. Can you see that? It's right there. At the beginning of the Very Hungry Caterpillar, here he is. He was very little. And do you remember what the caterpillar's job is at that part? What do they have to do? Yeah, they have to eat. They gotta eat a lot of food. Why? Yeah, so they can grow. They gotta grow just like we have to eat food to grow. So a caterpillar eats leaves or fruit or whatever it can find, but mostly I think they eat leaves. And then they get even bigger, and as they grow, they have kind of like a hard shell on the outside of them. Not a shell like a crab, but their skin is kind of hard. And so as they get bigger, they shed their skin. Let's pretend this is my skin. I'm gonna put my sweater on, and it's called an exoskeleton. That's a big word. Let's see if we can copy it. Exoskeleton. Exoskeleton. Oh, 5 syllables. So let's pretend I'm a caterpillar, and this is my exoskeleton, and I'm eating. Oh, I'm getting bigger and bigger, and this is too tight. So they shed their skin, their exoskeleton. And then they can grow even bigger. And when that exoskeleton gets too small, they shed that, and they just keep getting bigger. So this is the third part. See, there was a number 1 on the egg, because that's the first part. Then a baby caterpillar. Number 3, they're a bigger caterpillar. And in this part, number 4, do you remember what happens? They're changing. This part says the caterpillar makes a chrysalis. And this kind of confuses my brain, but I'm trying to learn too. I used to think that a caterpillar spun a cocoon around itself, kind of like a spider. But I asked my friend who's a scientist, and he told me that the caterpillar actually makes the cocoon under its skin, under its exoskeleton, and then it sheds that last layer of skin, and it's in its chrysalis. And a chrysalis is kind of like hard skin around, or exoskeleton around. Do you see? Yeah, I'll post a video that shows more pictures under this one too. But inside of the hard shell, that protects them, the chrysalis, so they're all wrapped up. They're all wrapped up like this. And then they have they have space inside to change. So their body does a lot of changes because they have to grow wings. They have to grow, they have antennae, but they might have to grow different antenna. They have a proboscis that's kind of like a long nose, and it's what they use to sip up nectar out of flowers. They have a lot of changing to do. That's why it takes so long. It can take up to 14 days, sometimes longer. That's a long time. And then when the caterpillar is ready, well, it's not a caterpillar anymore. I shouldn't call it that. This is number 6, and it says that it starts to come out of its cocoon or its chrysalis. It's ready to come out, and you can see you can start to see the colors of its wings as it starts to come out, and it just pushes out of the chrysalis like that, and then it's a butterfly. Sometimes when I've got caterpillars before, when they first come out of their chrysalis, their wings don't look like this yet. When they first come out, their wings are kind of small and wet and crumply. And the first time I saw it, I went, oh no, I don't think they can fly. But you know what they had to do? Just like babies, they had to practice. They had to flap their wings, and as their wings got stronger and they dried off, because there was some juices inside the chrysalis, they had to dry them off, and they had to practice, and then their wings unfolded and got stronger, and then they were ready to fly. So that is really, really exciting. And then maybe that butterfly will lay more eggs, and that's why it's called a life cycle, kind of like your bicycle goes around and around, the wheels on your bicycle. The life cycle goes around and around too, because this butterfly might lay an egg, and then it grows up, and maybe that butterfly will lay an egg. That's why it's called a cycle. So let's check one more time. It starts as an egg, then it's a baby caterpillar who has to eat a lot, then it grows bigger, and it still eats, and it sheds its exoskeleton, then it creates a hard chrysalis under its skin, and when it sheds one more time, it's inside of the chrysalis, and it stays in there for a long time. Then when it's ready, it pushes out. It has to practice flapping its wings because they're wet and they're kind of weak, and then they're a butterfly. This is the type of butterfly that we have. It's called a painted lady butterfly, and the coloring is kind of black and orange and white. They're really beautiful. There's a special name that scientists use to call them. It's called a Vanessa cardui. It's very fancy, but I just call them painted lady butterflies. And their wings are really special. They're called symmetrical. Symmetrical means they're the same on both sides. So if there's a white spot here, there's a white spot there. If there's a black spot here, there's a black spot there. Symmetrical. If I put my hands like this, it's symmetrical because they're the same on both sides. If I close one, that's asymmetrical. That means it's different. But if they're both open or they're both like this, the same on both sides. Symmetrical. Yeah. Is this symmetrical? No, that's asymmetrical. How about that? Yeah, that matches. So that's the butterfly's wings match on both sides. And they, let's see what else. They like to eat flowers like this. That's called thistle. I guess they don't really eat them. They more use this tube right here called a proboscis to suck all the juices and the nectar out of the flower. And they live all over the world. They even live in Africa. And they migrate. That means when it gets really, really, really cold, they fly away to somewhere warmer. So if they were living in Indiana, when the winter came, they would fly away to somewhere warm, maybe like Florida or Mexico. If they were in Massachusetts too, if it was really cold and snowy, they don't like that. That's not safe for them. So they have to migrate. That means fly away to somewhere warmer. And then once it's summer here, they might come back. A lot of animals do that. That's called migrate. Yeah, so they migrate. And here's the map that shows. I can try to show you. So they go from the United States, where we live, to Mexico, where it's warmer. And then they might go back in the summer. But they can fly 100 miles a day. Wow, that's far. And this is the parts of the butterfly. I don't know if you can see that. Here's the wings. And there's an abdomen, legs. And this says proboscis. That's its little nose that sucks the nectar. It has antenna, a head. It has wing veins. Really, really cool. They have anatomy just like us. And these are called eye spots. They kind of look like eyes, and they're used to trick predators. Predators are things that might eat the butterfly. And the butterfly wants to look like it's like a scary animal. So it would have the eye spots on its wings to make it look like it's staring at them. So if you were like a bird who wanted to eat this butterfly and you saw those eye spots, you might be like, whoa, dude, I'm not eating you. You're scary. So that's to trick predators and make them not be eaten. It's a defense mechanism. Defense mechanism is something that animals do to try not to be eaten by other animals or to stay safe. And here is the life cycle. We just talked about that. Oh, I'm gonna come close again. So first it's a tiny little egg, then a baby caterpillar, and it grows, grows, grows. Then it hangs upside down, and it has its chrysalis, stays in for a long time, and then they come out. Like I said, their wings are a little wet, and then they're finally ready to fly. So yeah, we learned about the life cycle of a butterfly today, about how they start in an egg, caterpillar, chrysalis, butterfly, and we learned about painted lady butterflies, and that's the kind that we're growing. We learned all about them. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited to see our butterflies grow and change. Right now they're in their chrysalises, but I can't wait to see what's going to happen. Stay tuned to find out. I hope you have a good day. Bye.